Hey guys, I'm Jesse. I'm coming to you today with our battle belt. Just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the reasons why we did what we did with this battle belt as far as the design and the manufacture of it. Just wanted to go over a few key points. So the first thing I want to talk about is the webbing. So the webbing that we use for the battle belt, we employ a custom weave that we have a mill make for us in Alabama, and then the other type is type 13 webbing that is a jacquard is used to essentially weave in the camo pattern, and it's still just as stiff as our normal webbing we use. But if you were to just use type 13 webbing, we weren't really comfortable with the stiffness of it and what it had to offer. We did originally, when we first started making these, we did use type 13 webbing, and it was kind of floppy. People complained about it. It wasn't that great. The second thing I want to talk about is the elastic piece that holds the adjustment strap. So we actually got away from that recently, and the reasoning for it is because the adjustment strap, it folds over like a lot of other belts do. And if you were to take this adjustment strap and do everything, get your size right, everything, and then forget to put the elastic piece on, you have to take everything off again, put the elastic piece on, and then put it there. With the easy tape or the double-sided hook and loop, you can literally just take it, put it on, and you can release at any time to make a quick adjustment. The elastic was a little bit more cumbersome to move around, and honestly, over time, its wear wasn't that great either. Another thing that we did that's a little different from what we saw at the time when we were designing this was we used a 1.5 inch inner. And the reason for us using the 1.5 inch inner was because a lot of people don't have 1.75 inch belt loops, and most people can wear a 1.5 inch belt. So the inner belt is 1.5 inches. Now the webbing, the hook that we use on the inside of the outer belt is actually also 1.5 inches. So there's really not a whole lot of gap there. People sometimes ask, is the hook going to scratch me or whatnot? And if it's lined up right, it won't scratch you at all. In fact, we don't get those types of complaints ever, really. So again, we use the 1.5 inch inner, and we've just really found that it's worked well for people, and it's been a great addition to our lineup. Another thing, guys, when we first started doing this, we worked with Austria Alpen on these Cobra buckle, the D-ring Cobra buckles, and one of the things that we noticed was that a lot of the D-ring Cobra buckles that we were getting were they were chrome on the D-ring, and none of us really liked it, honestly. If you look at some of our early belts again, they were chrome. It just so happened that Austria Alpen, basically, that what I was told is that they could do a black D-ring, but they needed a certain MOQ or minimum order quantity, and then there was a pretty significant lead time on it. And because of that, we liked it so much. We liked the black D-ring that we started ordering the minimum orders and started offering this to you guys. For a while there, we were some of the few that were offering it, and now it seems like it's more of a standard thing. I think they carry it more in stock now, so that's great, actually. I think that's good. So one of the other things that you'll notice is a little different about our belt is that when we make this, we actually use 1/2 inch webbing. A lot of belts that I saw at the time were using a 1 inch webbing, and then they would basically fold it over onto itself and sew it, and then sew it to the belt. And I didn't really understand why they were doing that. I'm not sure. I mean, it may have been a manufacturer thing. It may have been like that's all they could get. But we really sought out the 1/2 inch webbing. We thought it would be a superior thing to do. It does decrease the profile of the belt a little bit, and it makes it so that it's, honestly, I think it looks better. And another thing we did a little different is if you look closely here, there is a bar tack. And we had to work pretty hard at that. Instead of doing a stitch from the top to the bottom of the belt and going back and forth several times, we basically have a bar tack every 1.5 inches all the way down the belt. And you'll notice sometimes that there is a slightly different looking bar tack at the very ends. The ends don't have the luxury of having essentially a shared weight throughout it. So we do put a few more stitches in the end, and you sometimes see there's 2 stitches, and that is usually to just close out the 1.5 inch, kind of the mil spec essentially, and then if we have a little bit left to go to the tag, we'll put in another stitch there just to ensure that it stays put. Yeah, we worked really hard to make this happen. This is probably one of the more expensive things we had to invest in when it came to manufacturing. The machine that does this is pretty expensive, and it really has made it worth it, I think. We've never really heard of anybody breaking these. They usually, if there's accelerated wear because basically somebody's running a knife edge over it, that's one thing. But the bar tack themselves can actually hold quite a bit. Another thing we invested in quite a bit was the tags. So these tags, they're a woven tag. When we first started making these belts, we would sew these by hand, and no one's perfect. I mean, we'd sew them by hand, and you could just kind of tell they were sewn by hand. We did buy a machine that essentially can clamp this down and sew that tag entirely around it, and it's not by hand. So you'll see, as opposed to some of our earlier belts, you'll be able to tell if you got one sewn by hand or if you got one after we bought that machine. It's just one thing to help improve the overall appearance of the belt, make it look a little nicer. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this. It's been a labor of love. We've really enjoyed working with these and trying to develop them and make them faster and better for all you guys. So if you do have any questions about how we did or what we thought about when we were designing this, please leave them in the comment section, and we'll work on answering those. But have a good day.